There are reports out there that the governor was not listening to science. He was listening to hospital lobbyists who were saying to him,
right,
we can't take these patients for very long. They're not maybe paying customers. We need to get them over to someplace else so that we can allow for more people to come in.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is the senior meteorologist at Fox News, author of the new book, Make Your Own Sunshine, Inspiring Stories of People Who Find Light in Dark Times, and a woman who is not a big fan of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, Janice Dean, finally. Welcome to the Rubin Report.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me, my friend.
How do you like that little addition that I gave to your bio there? Does that feel right to you?
I got to tell you, if you told me a year ago that I would be in the middle of a storm involving the governor of New York, I would have said, what are you drinking and where can I get some?
Well, you certainly are. And, my audience knows I try to do these interviews really as free form as possible. But I thought with this interview, I'm going to do it a little more intentionally because the book, which I've been reading over the last couple of days, it's so light and warm and decent, and it puts a smile on your face. But this last year, you really have stepped into a fight that so many of us are dealing with at so many different levels. So for people that have no idea about what has gone on in your life in the past year, can you just lay it out? How did this all start, and when did you decide to really get into the public fight?
March 25th was the order which Governor Cuomo put his signature on that allowed COVID positive patients into nursing homes, 9,000 of them. And that was a fairly recent development. The reason why I'm so interested in this topic is because we lost my husband's parents in separate elder care facilities. In late March, we lost his dad. And in April, about 2 weeks later, we lost his mother. And obviously tragic. I never planned to be someone who is a spokesperson on behalf of, my husband's parents and thousands of others that we lost. But I felt like I had to, because when I saw the governor on television programs like his brothers on CNN joking around and not even approaching the nursing home issue, that's when I decided to get a little bit angry, because I felt like my husband's parents and the situation that they were presented with unknowingly was not being represented fairly in the mainstream media. And going back to his parents, we didn't even know there was a March 25th order. And the plan was we were supposed to have both of them in an assisted living residence close to us on Long Island. I feel, a kindred spirits with people who have to talk about what to do with their aging parents. Their health was failing them. They lived in a 4-story walk-up in Brooklyn for 50 years. We had many conversations about getting them out of there because they were going to have issues trying to go up and down the stairs. So for many years, the conversation was there. We wanted to get them to a different place. We offered to help them monetarily, and they just never wanted to take that. They just said, we're just going to stick it out. We love it here, and we'll deal with it as it comes. And as it happened, his dad got dementia. His health was failing him. His mom was very spry for, a 75, 76-year-old, but she had back problems. She had problems walking. And so it got to the point where we had aides going to visit them. That wasn't working out. So we took his mom to look at assisted facilities. And she loved the one close to us on Long Island. She signed the paperwork. His father was in bad health, so we had to get him in better shape before he could join her in the assisted living residence. And that's when COVID happened. I mean, we hadn't even cleared out their apartment. We were still paying the rent for them. So it was very recent that we had put them in the elder care facilities. They had never been separated in their lives. And we were just hoping to get Mickey, his father, in better shape. So COVID happened. We were in quarantine in early March. We weren't able to see them. We were getting updates from their separate elder care facilities. Sean was able to talk to his mom every day. Because she was lucid. His dad, obviously, it was tough because he had dementia. We got a call on a Saturday morning in late March, not even knowing he was ill. And they said that Mickey was not feeling well. He was running a fever. And so, of course, we were concerned. And we were talking about what we were going to do. And 3 hours later, we get a call saying he was dead. We had no idea he had died of COVID until we saw the death certificate. And Sean had to deliver the news to his mother. And to say that she was heartbroken is an understatement. She got sick in her assisted living facility, was diagnosed with COVID when they brought her to the hospital, and she died in the hospital several days later. The last thing she asked my husband to do was put her name on the Easter gifts for the kids. So I never wanted to tell their story. My husband is a very private person. He's not on TV. He's not a broadcaster. He's a firefighter, 25 years in the department. His dad was a firefighter as well. But when I wasn't seeing the coverage of the nursing home issue and the fact that I was finding out that Cuomo wasn't counting those that died in the hospital like my mother-in-law, that's when I decided it was time to tell my story, our story, so that at least somebody, anybody would, find out that this was actually something that was happening in New York.
Yeah, boy, all right, there's so many sort of offshoots where we could go there. First off, I have to say, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually from Long Island as well, and I know a lot of Long Island firefighters, so I have no doubt that Sean is a great guy, because every single one of them that I know are great people. Well, I guess first, just for a little more on the timeline, so how long was it that your folks didn't see each other, or your in-laws didn't see each other before you got that call about your father-in-law?
Well, it started out that both Mickey and Dee were in the nursing home together, but his mother was in better shape. So that's when she went to the assisted living residence. And I would say they were probably apart for a few weeks. So they were, they were apart for a few weeks, but they knew that they would be together at some point at the assisted living residence. So it wasn't very long that COVID happened. When they were in this situation.
Do you remember when Cuomo signed that piece of legislation or whatever it was? Do you remember thinking, this could be a problem? There were so many things happening at once. It was almost like impossible to make sense of any of it back then. I know it's hard to remember just a year ago.
We didn't know about it, Dave. I mean, honestly, I found out about it after they had died. No one told us about it. I remember the red flag after the fact was that we got a call about Mickey, I would say about a week before he passed away, saying that they were going to move him to another floor because they were going to allow for more people to come into the residence. But they didn't say infected patients. And we had no idea. We only learned after they had died that there was a mandate in place to put COVID positive patients. So, that's a big deal. I think whose responsibility would that have been? The nursing home, the assisted living residence? Someone should have told us. But the other point of that is that we weren't able to see them. We were in quarantine. Sean did see his mom before she got sick. He dropped off flowers and a card after his dad had passed away, and he was able to see her 6 feet away with a mask on, but he wasn't able to go and hug her. So there were all these things in place where we physically couldn't do anything. We were almost, you're almost jailed. You couldn't move, you couldn't find things out, you couldn't go see them, you couldn't bring them to you. Obviously, if I had known about a March 25th order, we would have done things very differently. We would have found a way to bring them here. His sister-in-law would have taken one of them. We would have done something.
Yeah, look, we all know hindsight is 20/20, but do you think in retrospect that the nursing homes themselves should have done different things, should have just protested the order? I mean, do you think that some of them may have sort of known? I know that we have more info now, so I know it's tough to do that kind of quarterbacking.
From what I know, and the people that I've talked with that work in nursing homes, they did not want to take the COVID positive patients. They felt they had no choice. And if you read the order, they weren't allowed to even test them. They were prohibited from testing them for COVID. So that in itself is like, if you couldn't test them, then you didn't know if they even had the virus. So
what could be the logic behind not being allowed to test people that you're bringing into the home?
Well, this is a bigger, broader subject that I think we need to investigate. There are several investigations into the nursing home issue, which I am grateful for. There's a federal one and there's an FBI one. And what I want to know is, first of all, the origins of the March 25th order. Where did that come from? Because it's not based on science. We all knew that putting infected patients into where our most vulnerable live is not scientific. It was going to spread like wildfire, which is what our governor said as well, that it would be like wildfire through dry grass. So I want to know where that order came from. There are reports out there that the governor was not listening to science. He was listening to hospital lobbyists who were saying to him,
Right.
We can't take these patients for very long. You know, they're not maybe paying customers. We need to get them over to someplace else so that we can allow for more people to come in. At the beginning of the pandemic, he had no idea. We thought it was going to be thousands upon thousands of people that were going to come into the hospitals and take over the beds. So at the beginning, I don't blame him for not really knowing what to do and sort of saying, well, maybe we should put the back in. But it was in place for 46 days. And then it was reversed and scrubbed from the website. So that should also tell you something. I think there is corruption involved. I think there is a criminal aspect to it. I think it involves hospital lobbyists. And the curious thing as well is that Cuomo put it in place for a blanket immunity for all of the nursing homes so that we could not sue them just a couple of days after that March 25th order was put into effect.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.